Between 1987 and 1991, a masked attacker, known only as Mr. Cruel, broke into the homes of 3 Australian families, bound the parents, and disappeared with one of the daughters. On the morning of August 22, 1987, Mr. Cruel broke into a family's home in a quiet suburb of Lower Plenty on the outskirts of Melbourne, Australia. He forced both parents onto their stomachs, bound their hands and feet, and locked them in a closet. Then he tied the 7-year-old son to a bed and attacked the 11-year-old daughter. He cut the phone lines and left. The intruder then embarked on a sadistic abduction spree that saw 4 Melbourne children disappear. But no one could stop Mr. Cruel because no one could identify him. On that Australian winter morning in 1987, Mr. Cruel established himself as a boogeyman that would strike fear into parents and children alike for over a decade. After the twisted attack on the family in Lower Plenty, the police were called and the investigation began. The family told them that after detaching a pane from the living room window, the ski mask-clad criminal made his way to the parents' bedroom, clutching a knife in one hand and a gun in the other. To subdue them, the intruder utilized a tapenade most commonly used by sailors, or at least those with some nautical experience. Over the course of the next 2 hours, Mr. Cruel raped their 11-year-old daughter. When he finally left, he pilfered a box of records and a blue jacket. The little girl was eventually able to tell the police that the intruder used the family phone to call someone else during one of his breaks in attacking her. From what the girl heard, this call was a threatening one, with the man demanding the person on the other end of the line to move their children or they would be next, and he referred to this person as a bozo. Police checked the family phone records, but there was no record of this call whatsoever. It would later become clear that this was Mr. Cruel planting a red herring to purposely confuse investigators. He would successfully throw them off his scent for years. It was over a year before Mr. Cruel struck again. Just days after Christmas in 1988, John Wills, his wife, and their 4 daughters were fast asleep in their Ringwood home, a couple miles or kilometers southeast of where the previous crime had taken place. Wearing dark blue overalls and wearing a dark ski mask, Mr. Cruel broke into the Wills home and held a gun to John Wills' head. As before, he clutched a knife in his other hand until the parents threw onto their stomachs, then he bound and gagged them. The intruder assured with the Willses that he was only there for their money, but then he methodically cut the phone lines and made his way into the bedroom the 4 Willis daughters all slept. Addressing 10-year-old Sharon Willis by name, the man quickly woke her up, blindfolded and gagged her. He then picked up a few items of her clothing and fled the house with her. After freeing himself and noticing that the phone lines were cut, John Willis rushed next door to the neighbor's house to use the phone to call the police. However, Mr. Cruel was long gone, and so was Sharon Willis. But 18 hours later, a woman stumbled upon a tiny figure standing on a street corner just after midnight. Dressed in green garbage bags, it was Sharon Willis. As Sharon Willis was reunited with her family, she gave police some startling clues as to who her attacker could be. Because Willis was blindfolded throughout her assault, she was unable to give a full physical description of Mr. Cruel, but she did recall how shortly before letting her go, the suspect made sure to give her a thorough bath. He not only washed off any forensic evidence he had left behind, but also clipped her fingernails and toenails and brushed and flossed her teeth. Investigators quickly tied this incident to the previous one in Lower Plenty, and a domino of fear and apprehension was beginning to take shape in the Melbourne suburbs. Mr. Cruel struck a third time on July 3, 1990. On that day, Brian and Rosemary Linus were attending a farewell party and left their 2 daughters home alone. Then just before midnight, 15-year-old Fiona and 13-year-old Nikki were woken by the ranting commanding orders of a masked intruder. Armed with his usual gun and knife, he instructed Nikki to go into another room to retrieve her school uniform while he tied up Fiona in her bed. Mr. Cruel informed Fiona that her father would need to pay him $25,000 for Nikki's return. He then took off with his young victim in the family's rental car, which was parked in the driveway. Mr. Cruel drove down the road a bit, parked, and then transferred to another vehicle. Just 20 minutes after the abduction, Brian and Rosemary Linus returned back home where they found 15-year-old Fiona tied to her bed with a ransom message. And then just a few days later, Nikki was dropped off at an electrical station not far from her home. She was fully dressed, wrapped in a blanket, and still blindfolded. When she was confident that Mr. Cruel had driven away, she removed the blindfold and shakily made her way to a nearby house. It was just after 2 in the morning when she phoned home. Nikki was able to offer detectives some details that were vital to the investigation. Most notably among them was a rough estimate of the attacker's height, which was about 5'8". She also revealed that the suspect possibly had reddish-brown hair. Some details of her ordeal were more horrifying. She revealed that throughout her time in captivity, she was forced to lay down into a neck brace contraption fastened to the abductor's bed, restraining her while she was abused. She said that she heard him speaking aloud to another person, but she never heard a response. Investigators weren't entirely sure whether this meant there was an accomplice, but it's more likely that this was another one of Mr. Cruel's many red herrings. Months after the Linus family moved back to England, Nikki told investigators that she heard a low-flying aircraft while in her abductor's home. Investigators thought this meant that the suspect lived in the surrounding vicinity of the nearby airport, more than likely in its direct flight path. Still, there wasn't enough evidence to make an arrest, and Mr. Cruel's worst deeds were yet to come. On April 13, 1991, Mr. Cruel broke into the home of John and Phyllis Chan. That night, they trusted their 13-year-old daughter Carmine to watch over her two younger siblings. It seemed Mr. Cruel knew this, as detectives believed he would stake out his victims for weeks or even months ahead of time, learning their habits and movements. At roughly 8:40 p.m., Carmine and one of her sisters headed to the family's kitchen to make some food when they startled Mr. Cruel. "I only want your money," Mr. Cruel lied to the three girls, forcing the two younger siblings into Carmine's wardrobe. He claimed he wanted Carmine by herself to show him where the money was, and he pushed a bed in front of the closet to lock the two youngest sisters in as he made his escape. Minutes later, the two frightened sisters managed to push open the wardrobe and immediately called their father at the family restaurant. By the time police arrived, they knew what to expect. They had been to enough of Mr. Cruel's crime scenes to know what had taken place. Investigators found a note written in large, bold letters on Phyllis Chan's Toyota Camry shortly after the abduction. "Payback, Asian drug dealer, more to come." But after combing John Chan's background, this proved to just be another one of Mr. Cruel's red herrings. Sadly, Carmine would never be reunited with her family. Nearly 1 year after Carmine's abduction on April 9, 1992, a man walking his dog happened upon a fully decomposed skeleton. This was eventually revealed to be Carmine Chan. An autopsy revealed that Carmine Chan had been shot 3 times in the head, execution style, probably not long after her abduction. Theories had swirled to was why Mr. Cruel murdered Carmine when he released all of his other victims. Carmine's mother theorized that because her daughter was stubborn and would have fought back against her attacker, she likely learned too much about him for him to let her go. A 40-man task force investigated over 27,000 potential suspects, collected over tens of thousands of tips from the public, and searched over 30,000 houses in the hopes of turning over a single clue. They never did.